Hello friends, in this video we are going to see a most important formula of industrial engineering which is useful for your university exam. So outline of this session are as follow. So we will see important formula of productivity measurement, then productivity models, then time study, work sampling, part of work measurement, then forecasting techniques, assembly line balancing, economical order quantity, break-even analysis, and Therblick symbols. So first topic, that is productivity measurement. So first important formula, that is productivity. So it is a ratio of output divided by input. So productivity, we can say it's the efficiency of any factory or company. So in output we consider good produce or finished products and service offered, means in both type of industry, means that is manufacturing sector or service sectors. So output is finished good and service. So in input we consider resources, man, machine, material, and their utilization. So we consider man hours, material utilization, time consumed, money involved. Then there are various type of productivity for measurement. So first, regarding raw material productivity, so ratio of weight of finished product to weight of raw material consumed. Suppose we consider weight of finished product is 5 kg and uh, raw material consumed, that is 10 kg. So 5 divided by 10, that is nothing but 0.5 productivity. Then in terms of labor productivity, then on the basis of time and on the basis of money. So labor productivity on the basis of time, output in standard time or standard hours to the actual man hours. Then in terms of money, output in scale and to the number of labors required or in terms of wages. Next, that is capital productivity, net output in terms of money upon capital involved or applied. Then energy productivity, net output to energy consumed, maybe in terms of unit or in terms of rupees. Then overall productivity, so overall output, net output upon sorry, print mistake, sorry, typing mistake. uh, Here it required all input factors. So in all input factor we can consider uh, man, machine, energy, capital, all input resources. Then next, machine productivity or machine utilization. So output in standard hours, that is theoretical cycle time required for product, and to the actual machine hours, means practically time required to complete that product. Next, land productivity. So it's a ratio of land in utilization and to total land available with us. Same as building productivity. So again, it is a ratio of area in utilization for working to the total area available of building. Then power productivity, ratio of quantity of production in terms of unit or number. Then cost of power. Then various productive measurement models. So first, Kendrick Kermir model. So this he proposed only two type of productivity index. So first one is a partial and second one is a total productive index. So partial productive index, so total output uh, divided by any one input. Suppose we want to calculate material productivity. So take output upon material input. If you want to calculate labor productivity, so output upon uh, labor hour. So in that way we can calculate partial productivity. We already seen in different kind of productivity. Then next, that is total productivity index. So net output upon total factor input. So in total factor input we consider all input resources. Second model that is Craig Harris. So in this model, total productivity, it is a ratio of total output upon in input considered as a labor, capital, raw material factor and other miscellaneous factor according to given data. Next model, that is American Productivity Center, that is based on profitability. So it's a ratio of output quantity into price, or you can say sale cost, and upon input quantity into unit cost, or called as a cost. So sale upon cost is nothing but profitability. Next model, that is Sumant total productivity model. So in this model, Sumant consider total productivity is a ratio of total tangible output and total tangible input. So intangible output or input we consider important or uh, vital things only. So we neglect unnecessary uh, factors. So only tangible things are considered. Next topic, that is time study. So in time study, main objective to determine standard time of qualified worker. So who is qualified worker? A worker who produce a finished good or product with proper quality, then quantity, as well as with safety. So this is our ultimate objective of time study. So we see one by one formula. So time study is equal to normal time per cycle into allowances. So allowances in terms of percentage, it include maybe delay, fatigue, personal, contingency, interference, or special type of allowances. Again, normal time per cycle, that depend upon normal time into frequency. So how to calculate normal time? Normal time, observed time when a worker perform any task, and into performance rating of that worker. So this is key parameter, that is we consider performance rating. So that performance rating of labor mostly depend upon skill, condition, effort and consistency. So if performance rating not given in problem, then we generally consider range in between 0.85 to 1.15, or we can say 15% plus minus with respect to 100%. So in normal performance rating we consider as a 100%. If below, that is 0.85, or above performance, that is 115%. So in this way we can calculate standard time of qualified worker. Next, that is work sample. In this topic also, our main objective to calculate standard time of qualified worker. So basic formula for standard time, that is allowances into total time in minutes into work time in percentage into performance index in percentage. Same things just like time study upon total number of atom produced. So a second uh, formula, that is a sample size determination, or uh, we can say determine number of observation required to given accuracy in standard time. So here we determine how much amount of number of observation required to find out a standard time. So formula is S into P equal to K under root P in bracket 1 minus P bracket complete divided by N. So here S is nothing but desired relative accuracy, P percentage occurrence of an activity or delay, K denote 1 2 3 of for confidence level, uh, that is 68%, 95% or 99.7% respectively. More the level, more the confidence level. Then capital N denote total number of random observation. So in this way, by this formula, we can calculate sample size for calculating standard times. Next topic, that is forecasting technique. So forecasting technique, generally we in this formula we can calculate uh, future demand for a respective period. So first method, that is moving average method. Formula, simple moving average is equal to AT equal to DT plus DT minus 1, so on up to uh, or divided by N. So forecast for next T plus 1, T is nothing but considered here. Suppose we were to calculate forecast for August. So in moving average method, we just simply average all previous period demand, means from January to July. So for 7 period, so summation of all demand divided by 7. So we'll get forecast for August. So here small n is time interval for total period considered. So suppose in this problem we considered 7 period or time interval. Then second method, that is exponential smoothing method. So here there are two forms. First is on the basis of actual demand and second is on the basis of forecast. So AT, or we can say next T plus 1 is equal to alpha dt plus in bracket 1 minus alpha T minus 1. This is on the basis of demand, and second formula on the basis of uh, future or forecast. So here alpha is a smoothing parameter and its value is between 0 to 1. So say we can same problem solve by using smoothing average method as well as exponential smoothing method. So there are again number of formula that is available for calculating forecast for next period, that is a single smoothing method, double smoothing method or triple smoothing method. But university exam point of view, this is more than sufficient to calculate. So next uh, main important topic, that is assembly line balancing. So here main objective to make the assembly line efficient. So in assembly line there are number of workstation at which number of tasks or event perform. So main objective to calculate efficiency of line. So basic formula, summation of time of all tasks. Suppose we consider there are 4 workstation and time required for each workstation. So 30, 80, 40 and 50. So efficiency summation of all time for all tasks. So summation of 30, 80, 40 and 15. Then actual number of workstation, here 4. Large cycle time, here's 80. Then uh, minimum number of workstation is equal to summation of all tasks upon cycle time. So how to calculate cycle time? Cycle time, is equal to production time available per hour per day, output of unit per day. So in this problem, production time available per day, that is 192, and output of production time available per day, that is 8 hours. So we can convert it into minutes as well as in second, and output of unit per day, that is 192. So in this way we can calculate cycle time, then workstation, then efficiency. Likewise we can calculate also balance delay. So 100% minus efficiency, so we'll get balance delay. So our main objective to minimize this balance delay and maximize efficiency of line. Then economical order quantity, it's part of inventory control management. So in this topic, the main objective to determine the optimum balance of cost and quality of inventory. So how to determine lot size of inventory? So we use these two formula. First, on the basis of unit price, and on the basis of order, or in terms of rupees. So EOQ stand for economical order quantity. So formula is given. So CP, procurement cost per order. CU, unit price per unit. I, that is inventory carrying cost per year. Then A stand, that is annual consumption in rupees. So this formula represent in terms of order, or we can say in terms of unit, and second formula in terms of rupees. Then annual procurement cost, S upon Q into CP. Annual inventory cost, Q upon 2. So Q is nothing but economical order quantity, CV into I. Then annual total cost, annual order cost plus annual inventory carrying cost. Then next, that is break even analysis. So in this topic, the main objective to find the break even point. So what is break even point? So in that point, so company produce a particular volume. On that point, company having no loss no profit situation. So suppose in this graph, the break even point on 1000, suppose company produce 1000 unit, means company neither in profit or nor in loss. So break even point, how to calculate? It's a simple ratio of fixed cost upon selling cost, or selling price minus variable cost. So what is fixed cost? So fixed cost maybe is cost required for factory setup, maybe rate or insurance, and which is not depend upon uh, production. If production increase or decrease, there is no effect on fixed cost. So this horizontal line represent fixed cost. Then variable cost, so number of unit into variable cost per unit. So if production increases, variable cost also increases. Means number of unit increases, then raw material or labor or those inputs are required to increase production. So variable cost also increase, which is always start from fixed cost line. Then this inclined line represent sale line. So intersection of sale line and variable line represent break even point. Then margin of safety, it is equal to total sale minus break even point sale. Last, that is profit volume ratio, ratio of fixed cost plus profit upon sales. So this first formula is very useful for you for university exam, how to calculate break even point. So generally use this formula, fixed cost upon selling price minus variable cost. uh, Last, that is Tharblick symbols. So Tharblick symbols used for motion study of operator. So there are total 18 symbol used for motion study. So starting from search and up to rest. So various symbols are given with their proper color code. So please remember this symbol with their functions. So this is most useful for multiple choice question types. So that's it. Thank you for watching. Thank you.